Now we will see the classification of the phylum Chordata. See, phylum Chordata is classified into three subphyla. We just write here three subphyla. Why again the main phylum Chordata is divided into three subphyla? It is again based on the presence of notochord. That means chordate, all the chordates must exhibit notochord. Correct? That's the reason why they are called as chordate. But still, again in the different types of living organism comes under chordata, they have notochord sometimes in their embryonic development during the formation of the embryo, or maybe like in their lifetime, throughout their life, or maybe in some organisms of chordates, sometimes actually the notochord is replaced with a bony or cartilaginous vertebral column. Got it? For example, see, in our case, when I was in embryonic stage, I had notochord in my dorsal side, or kind of like in the, exactly between dorsal and ventral side. But it is now replaced by a bony vertebral column. That's it. Okay. So that is actually the thing. We just write the first type of subphyla, that is Urochordata. Urochordata, very important for your competitive examination. Okay. It is also called as Tunicata. In the NEET, they pick this. Instead of asking some question like directly from Urochordata, they will go indirectly, they pick this, Tunicata. They may ask you the character of Tunicata. Got it? Okay. The second important subphyla is Cephalochordata. Cephalochordata. Very simple, the meaning of Uro here is tail. Uro means tail. Cephalo means a head, a well distinct head. See, this is cephalo. Got it? Cephalic region. That means I have a very well defined head. Okay. So third one is, if any chordates exhibit this vertebral column, the backbone, then it is vertebrata. Got it? Okay. Urochordata, Cephalochordata, vertebrata are the three different subphyla comes under chordata. Okay. Now I have to write one thing here. See, this classification is mainly based on the presence of notochord, but exactly where they are present or in which stage of their lifespan it is present. That's it. Okay. So Urochordata or Tunicata, very simple. In the larval stage, that means it is understood that Tunicata or Urochordata, they have indirect development. Okay. So in the larval stage, they have or they exhibit notochord, particularly where? In their tail. Where? In their tail. So it is understood that if you take adult Urochordata or Tunicata, if you take the tail portion of that particular organism, you will not see notochord. That means this particular notochord is present only in the larval tail. So we just write here, it is present only in the larval tail. That's it. Okay. When the larva actually transforms into adult stage, at that time this particular notochord will be replaced with some other structure. Got it? So this is the thing. Okay. Some examples I would like to add here for this particular Urochordata or Tunicata. Very important now. The thing is, the first one is Ascidia. Ascidia, first one. Second one is Salpa. Third one is Doliolum. Remember this, very important, no confusion here. Okay, if you cannot remember some examples of non-chordates, fine, but you have to remember the examples of Urochordata or Cephalochordata, very important. So Ascidia, Salpa and Doliolum are very good examples for this particular Tunicata. The question could be indirect in the competitive examination. Got it? So Salpa actually exhibit what type of notochord or where exactly notochord is present. So you have to identify, that is in the larval tail. Even the question could be from Doliolum or it could be from Ascidia. Okay, we just draw one diagram of Ascidia which is given in your NCERT textbook, rough diagram. You can also find the same diagram like this. The animal is like this. Okay, you may get this picture and identify which animal it is. Got it? So that is Ascidia. This is Ascidia. Okay, where exactly these Urochordates live? They are 100% marine animals. That means they swim. They are marine animals. Got it? You don't see any Urochordata or Tunicata in terrestrial conditions. Got it? Okay. So next is cephalochordata. Okay, we go with cephalochordata. Cephalo means head. Now, for example, if I draw a normal body plane of the chordata, so this is the body plane of the chordata, this is the head region and this is the tail region. You know about it, basic. The notochord is present from its embryonic stage till the adult stage. So that is very important here. From their embryonic stage, that means throughout their life. Yes, right? So cephalochordata, they have notochord throughout their life. That is actually from embryonic stage to adult stage, throughout. So please note this point. I will not write that. You write notochord is present throughout their life. From where to where? The notochord starts from head and it extends till tail portion. See? Got it? So if I take any like organism which belongs to cephalochordata, let me give you the example actually. Okay. So if I cut that animal into two pieces, I will see the notochord. Got it? If I take the young cephalochordata till the old cephalochordata, if I cut that animal, obviously I am going to get the notochord. That means they are present throughout their life. Starting from head till tail, you could see them. Okay, so or see the notochord. Example for cephalochordata, that is, let me just write, branchiostoma. Okay, the example, remember it, branchiostoma. In that again there are two animals comes. Branchiostoma is a type of class actually. Again, in that there are two species which belongs to cephalochordata. Let me write here. I think I will erase it so that you have space. Please copy it. One example is Amphioxus. The second example for branchiostoma is lancelet. Okay, Amphioxus, lancelet are the two examples which belongs to branchiostoma. Branchiostoma belongs to cephalochordata. Again, the question could be like Amphioxus exhibit. The options could be like this: notochord throughout their life, or notochord present only in the larval tail, like that. You have to pick the correct option actually. Got it? So that is cephalochordata. Very simple head. Okay. The next is vertebrate. Okay. We just erase this portion. Before I explain about vertebrata, I would like to add one sentence here. See. All vertebrates are chordates. This sentence is given in your NCERT, so there is a high chance of they give this particular sentence in your competitive examination and even board also. All vertebrates are chordates, but all chordates are not vertebrates. Easy, right? See, all the chordates, you could see, all vertebrates, they are actually belongs to the chordates, correct? Yes, vertebrate actually nothing but a subphylum of the main phylum Chordata. But all the chordates are not vertebrates, because Urochordata is not vertebrate or Cephalochordata is not vertebrate. Why? Because of they do not exhibit vertebral column. That's it. Okay. One more thing I forgot to mention. You may get a question like you have to mention the protochordates. Protochordates, that is Urochordata and Cephalochordata are protochordates. Okay, we just write here these two things are protochordates. Okay, why they are called as protochordates, that is Urochordata and Cephalochordata are protochordates. The reason is they are exclusively marine, 100% marine. Marine, even vertebrates also, like particularly if you take shark, is also like marine animal, right? The thing is simple. All the living organisms started their life from the marine water. That's it. So they are the primitive chordates. What is the meaning of primitive? First formed chordates. That is actually obviously in the marine water itself. So these two are exclusively protochordates, not vertebrates. Vertebrate is not protochordate. They are higher chordates. Okay, higher level organism in chordates. These are actually the basic level in the case of chordata. Got it? Okay, vertebrata, very simple actually. Notochord is present, yes, notochord is present, but only in embryonic stage. Only after the birth of the baby. You take human being. Only in the embryonic stage you see this structure. Let me just draw the diagram of the embryo. Embryo will be kind of like this. Correct? Okay. During the embryonic stage you see this a cord. This is actually the notochord. Later, once after the parturition is the biological term, it is nothing but delivery of the baby. Okay, after the completion of gestation period, again gestation is also biological term. Gestation means it is the time taken by the young one, that is the embryo, to develop into adult. It normally in human beings it is 9 months. Okay, so we just draw this. This is the baby after gestation. Okay, so here notochord will not be there. Instead of that, it is replaced with another solid structure, that is nothing but the bony. Replaced by bony vertebral column, backbone. That is in simple word, backbone. But the same cannot be applicable to, for example, cartilaginous fishes. You take shark. Okay. In the case of shark, you will not see the backbone, even though they are belongs to vertebrata. Why? In that there is no vertebral column. But instead of that, they have cartilaginous endoskeleton. They have like cartilaginous endoskeleton. So that is actually the thing. Based on that, again we can classify it. Okay, don't worry about it. So we write vertebral column or cartilaginous endoskeleton. Hope you can see this. Okay, right upwards. So, but it is replaced by bony vertebral column or cartilaginous endoskeleton. This is very important character of the vertebrate. So now I am going to erase this. Now let us study the different divisions of the subphylum Vertebrata. Right here, Vertebrata is a subphylum, and under this Vertebrata you see so many divisions. So we put a box and we will write its divisions. Okay. The first criteria to classify vertebrata into two important divisions, that criteria is nothing but the presence or absence of a jaw. See, I am a type of vertebrate, right? I have got jaw, yes. So, what is the function of jaw? I can open my mouth, and even actually the teeth are embedded within the socket of jaw, yes, right? So that I can bite the food. That's it. You take fishes, you take it could be cartilaginous fishes like shark, or it could be bony fishes like katla or whatever the type of fishes. They have jaws, right? They have jaw, so that they can open their mouth. The mouth is not circular, it is like kind of like horizontal, like our mouth. Okay. For example, you take a snake. Do they have jaw? Yes, they have jaw, right? Yes. Have you seen that? The teeth. Yes. Or maybe like you take the tortoise. They have jaw. Yes. All vertebrates, they have jaws. But there are exceptions. There is a particular division called as agnatha or cyclostoma. Cyclostoma particularly. They lacks jaw. Jaw is completely absent. Okay. So this is the thing. That means, do they have teeth? Yes, they have teeth, but not developed teeth like us. We have very well developed teeth. Okay, they have teeth, but their mouth is circular. They act like an ectoparasite on some fishes, and they just attach their body with the help of the mouth to the surface of the fishes, and they suck the nutrients, blood, whatever. Okay, so that is, they lack jaws. So based on that, presence or absence of jaw is very important criteria to classify vertebrata into two divisions. The first division is agnatha. The meaning of agnatha is the animal or the organism which lack jaw, no jaw. Okay, we just write lacks jaw. In that agnatha, one example is given, one particular class is given. So let me just write the class. The class agnatha example is cyclostoma. Cyclostoma is the example. Okay, in this cyclostoma you see two important examples, very important. I will explain it later anyhow, but write down. The one is petromyzon. The next one is the mixing. See, the two animals belongs to the cyclostoma. Obviously they lack jaw, hence they belongs to the division agnatha. Simple, right? Easy. And even the petromyzum can also be called as the common name lamprey. Very important for your competitive examination. Got it? Petromyzum lamprey. In the animal kingdom, particularly for your competitive examination, you get only examples. Match the following type. So you have to be very, very thorough with animal kingdom examples. Okay, starting from the phylum Porifera till the phylum Chordata. Everything. Mixin is actually also called as hagfishes. Hagfish. Okay. So this is actually cyclostoma. Fine. Here, if this particular division lacks jaw, then the other division must exhibit the presence of well-defined jaw. That is us, or maybe fishes, maybe reptiles, maybe amphibians. Yes, right? So what I'm going to do is I'll just write the next class, that is called as the gnathostomata. Okay, gnathostomata means the presence of jaw. If the animal which belongs to the subphyla vertebrata, they exhibit jaw, then they belongs to the division gnathostomata. Done. Easy. Okay. Now again in the gnathostomata we can go for two important divisions, subdivisions. Again subdivision. Alright here. Not class, it is subdivision. Again there is one more criteria. The criteria is very simple. See, I belongs to gnathostomata. I have jaw. At the same time, if I compare myself with a fish, what is the difference you see? Both belongs to gnathostomata, me and fish, both belongs to gnathostomata. But what is the difference? Their locomotory organ. If you take fish, what is the locomotory organ? Fins. Yes, right? Do they have fins? Yes, they have fins. Do I have fin? No, I don't have fin. But I have appendages. Correct? Limbs. That's it. So I have got a very well developed hands and legs. So that is it. So based on the type of locomotory organ, again the gnathostomata can be classified into two types. The one is species. What is the meaning of species? The animal which bears fins. Which is the animal which bears fin? Fishes. All fishes belong to species. Okay. Next is in the case of the gnathostomata where the locomotory organ is appendages or limbs. So limbs. If they have hands, legs or limbs, if they have jaw, then they should belong to the next subdivision, that is tetrapoda. What is the meaning of tetra? Tetra means four. Poda means legs or appendages. Tetrapoda, four appendages or four limbs. Got it? This is the thing. Again, if you take pieces, all the fishes, do they have fins? Yes, that is very, very important character. But again, there is one more difference. If you take fishes, if you take shark, if you take the endoskeleton, do you see bony endoskeleton? No, that is absent. If you take a freshwater fish like katla or maybe like mackerel, so normally like they are bony, correct? Okay, that means the endoskeleton in some fishes are bony like us. Some fishes, they lack this bony endoskeleton, instead they have cartilaginous endoskeleton. So that is actually the next criteria. So based on that, again we can classify fishes into two types. That is Osteichthyes, see the spelling. Osteichthyes. The meaning of ostia means bony. So it is nothing but in English, bony fishes are called as Osteichthyes. They have bony endoskeleton but belongs to the species because they have fins. Okay, we'll extend it bit like this. Now I will write one more, that is Chondrichthyes. Chondrichthyes. What is the meaning of chondria? Chondria means cartilage. Do we have cartilage? Yes, we have cartilage here. Correct. Inside our ears. Yes, we have cartilage. At the same time, we have bones also. I am talking about fishes, so we just write cartilage. The fishes which bear cartilage, so cartilaginous fishes, that is Chondrichthyes. Fishes which bear bony endoskeleton, they are Osteichthyes. That's it. So, but still they bear the fins. Again, we are going to study the differences between Osteichthyes and Chondrichthyes. Very important for 5 marks again for board examination and even for competitive also. Fine, we will discuss it later. Now, coming back to the tetrapoda, that is the organism which belongs to vertebrata, they have 4 limbs. There are 4 classes. The first class is, hope it is visible to you. Okay, I think visible, hope it is visible. The first one we will go with the amphibia. First class. So I have write the classes, 4 classes in the tetrapoda. Second one is reptilia, reptiles, snakes, crocodiles. Okay. Next, the third one is the aves. Aves means birds. Last one is, the fourth one is bee. Bee belongs to mammals or mammalia. See, the 4 classes of which belongs to tetrapoda division or subdivision actually. Got it? So this is actually the classification. You have to remember each and everything to avoid confusion in the later phase. Particularly after 1 or 1.5 year, you recall this, you forget. That's it. So now listen, understand it carefully, then it's very simple practice. Got it? No confusion, nothing else. Petromycin mixin is very important. Okay, now I'm going to explain the characteristics of cyclostoma. So I'll erase it now. Fine. You may get a question. Give an example for the type of vertebrata which show anadromous migration. Okay, that is nothing but cyclostoma. Example, petromyzon or hagfishes. Got it? That is mixing. So we'll go with the cyclostoma now. Belongs to the agnatha. So cyclostoma. Very simple. The meaning of cyclo means circular here. So we just write here. They are bit cartilaginous. The entire organism is cartilaginous, but it is not a fish. Remember it is not fish. Looks like fish. Let me draw the diagram of it. See. See the mouth. The mouth is circular. Okay. They have sharp teeth-like structure, but it is not teeth like this. See the mouth. So cyclostoma, circular. Yes, right. Very simple. So they have circular mouth and entire body is cartilaginous. You write down. It's very simple, very easy. Mouth is circular. And here you could see the fins. The fins will be visible. But these fins are not paired. If you take a normal fish, okay, we just draw a normal fish. Okay, so this is a normal fish. It has got fins. Exactly, it has got paired fin. If one fin is here, the other fin should be exactly opposite to it, like this. A paired fin should be there in the case of fishes. It is applicable to cartilaginous as well as bony fishes. Osteichthyes or chondrichthyes, applicable. But in the case of this cyclostoma, they are not fishes. And particularly they have fins also for their locomotion, swimming, but they are not paired. So just write down, fins are not paired. That's it. See, many fins are seen on the dorsal surface, but on the ventral surface you don't see any fins. That's it. Okay, that is it. And then I said like entire body is made up of cartilage. So it is understood that if you take the skull is here somewhere else. What is the meaning of skull here? In biology, skull is nothing but termed as cranium. This is my cranium. Got it? Cranium is nothing but skull. What is the function of skull? It protects our brain. Same. The brain of this particular cyclostoma is protected by a type of structure. Looks like cranium, but they do not have bony cranium. They have cartilaginous cranium. So another character is presence of cartilaginous cranium. Okay, and entire body is cartilaginous. So this is very important. Got it? Our cranium is bony, 100% bony, skull. Okay, but this cyclostoma, cartilaginous cranium. Okay, and do they have scales? If you take a fish, you see this structure, yes, right? Scales. These structures are nothing but called as scales. Scales. Fishes, they have scales, but here you don't see anything. Nothing. Entire body is plain. So you have to add one more point. This is another point. Absence of scales. Scales are absent. Okay. This is actually very important character. That's it. Simple, easy. And last important character of cyclostoma is they are all ectoparasite. What is the meaning of ecto? Outside. Parasite, you know that. The organism which is dependent on other organism for their food, for their survival. That's it. So this, because of the presence of this circular mouth without any jaw. See, this is the body plate. This is circular mouth actually, and they are going to attach to some other fishes. Okay, so on the surface of some other fishes, and they take the nutrient from this particular fish. That's it. So they are ectoparasite. Got it? Because of the presence of circular mouth. Jaw is completely absent. Done? Okay. Last and very important character of this particular cyclostoma is, you take petromyzon or you take myxin, doesn't matter. They exhibit this character. Note this one. Anadromous migration. Very important. You get this question. What is the meaning of anadromous migration? Simple. This particular cyclostoma, we'll draw it here. This is cyclostoma. Okay. Sorry, circular mouth. And normally they live in marine water. 100% they are marine water animals. I didn't say that right on this. Marine water, and they migrate to the fresh water. Migrate in the sense they move from marine water to fresh water. Fresh water when they are reproductively mature. What is the meaning of reproductively mature? That means they are able to lay their eggs. Okay. So I just write spawning. Okay. During their spawning period, these adult cyclostoma organisms, or like you take petromyzon or you take the myxin, whatever it is, they migrate from marine water to the fresh water for their spawning. So where the tiny organisms actually, they are actually released into the fresh water. Done. Once after the spawning, they all die. All adult die. Adult dies. But what about the young ones? They develop in the fresh water. Once they become adult, like their mother, they now migrate back to the marine water. Again, when these adult organisms reproductively matures, again they go back to the fresh water for spawning. This is actually the cycle. Got it? Reproductive cycle. So this type of migration from marine water to fresh water for spawning, that is release of their young ones from the body, is called as anadromous migration. There are other organisms which also exhibit exactly opposite type of migration, that is migration from fresh water to the marine water for spawning, ulta, opposite of cyclostoma. They are called as catadromous. If you want, you can write down. Catadromous migration is from fresh water to marine water for spawning. That is catadromous. So that's all about from this particular cyclostoma. Examples: petromyzon or myxin. Petromyzon is also called as lamprey. Myxin is also called as hagfishes. Hope you understood. What is the important character? Anadromous migration. What is anadromous migration? The migration from marine water to the fresh water for spawning. After spawning, the adult organism or adult cyclostoma, they die, whereas the young ones, they develop until they become adult in the fresh water, and after that they migrate back to the marine water and they live for some time. When they become reproductively active, again they migrate back to the fresh water for spawning and they die. So the cycle repeats. This is called as anadromous. If it is exactly opposite, then it is called as catadromous migration. Hope you understood this. Thank you.